Familiar, you're familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
Hello students, so welcome back to the video again. So in the previous videos we have discussed the Newton's first law and Newton's second law with some examples, isn't it? So now in this video, so let me try to explain you what is Newton's third law. Okay, so I think this is the video part number 4 for you, right? So let us try to understand what is Newton's third law. So it is very popular already, you know. So everyone at least will be knowing Newton's third law. If they are not knowing even first law and second law, at least they will be very well known about the Newton's third law, isn't it? Because it is very simple than first and second law, right? Okay, anyway, so as per your syllabus, so let us discuss what is Newton's third law with some examples, okay? So as per the statements, so you can consider the Newton's third law in the two forms. So the first basic statement is, if two bodies exert forces on each other, okay, so these forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. So very simple it is. So if you come across the force acting on a body, okay, so particularly in Newton's first law and second law, we are considering a force acting on a single body, how it reacts. Okay, that means whether the body is at rest, okay, if it is going to move. If the force is applied, the body is going to move. If it is already moving, if you apply some opposing force, then the moving body is going to stop. So in that way, we are explaining the Newton's first and second law. So the force acting on a single body. Now in this case, that is Newton's third law, we have to consider two bodies, okay, interacting on each other. How they are interacting? By acting the forces on each other. Okay, that is why you have to consider the two bodies here. Two bodies exerted forces on each other. These forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. Okay, that is the basic statement of Newton's third law. So alternate statement is very well known for you. Okay, if you consider the forces in the form of action and reaction, then we can say to every action, the force acting on a body is called now action basically. So to every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction, right? So that is also considered as the alternate statement for Newton's third law. Okay. Now let us try to understand this Newton's third law with a simple example by considering two bodies, let us say A and B. Okay. In the explanation part, you consider two bodies, let us say A and B, so that the forces exerted by two bodies on each other are considered as now FAB and FBA. So what do you mean by that? So FAB bar is called now the force exerted by A on B. Okay, so whereas FBA is the force exerted by B on A. Okay, so definitely we can understand that because the force are vector quantities. So even though they are equal in magnitude, okay, but acting in opposite direction, you know, so we should consider the negative sign for any one of them at least, right? So if AB and FB are the two equal forces acting in opposite directions, then according to Newton's third law, okay, we can write the statement in the form of equation as now FAB bar is equal to, with negative sign, okay, FBA bar. Okay, so negative sign indicates they are opposite in direction, okay, equal in magnitude. Okay, that is the Newton's third law statement in the form of the forces equation. So then only we can say, see, the points to be noted here is the two bodies, interaction exists between the bodies A and B. Interaction exists between the two bodies only when the both are acting some forces on each other. Okay, interaction exists between the two bodies. Okay, similarly now the two forces FAB and FBA are now called action and reaction pairs also. Okay, they form action and reaction pairs, so that we can justify the alternate statement, okay, where the action is always equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to the reaction. Clear? Okay, now let us see some live examples. Okay, some of the examples will be very clearly giving the idea about Newton's third law for you, right? Some examples, illustrative examples particularly we can say, right? So when a man jumps from a boat, the example is when a man jumps from a boat, okay, it is floating on the water. What happens? He jumps out of the boat towards the banking of the river, let us say. So what happens to the boat? The boat will move back to him, isn't it? So he is jumping in the forward direction to the ground, whereas he is pushing back the boat because it is frictionless, floating on the frictionless surface on the water. So easily you can observe that the boat is moving back, correct? So man jumps from a boat, due to reaction the boat moves back to him. Okay, which is the action? The action is he is pushing the boat backwards and then he is taking the jump, isn't it? That is action. So due to the reaction the boat is moving back. So that is one example. If you look at the second example, in swimming, okay, the man pushes the water backwards, isn't it? The man pushes the water backwards and in turn he pushed forward. He himself is pushed forward due to the reaction of water. So that means there are two bodies here, a man and water. Okay, man is giving the action to the water, in turn water is giving reaction to the man so that the man can move forward in the swimming, right? Okay, now look at the next example. So when we press a stone, simple example, if you just press a stone with the thumb, okay, like this, if you press the stone with your thumb like this, okay, the thumb is equally pressed by the stone. You can observe that, okay, just you press the stone by your thumb and then look at the finger. So some dip is observed on the finger. So that is due to the reaction by the stone on the finger, isn't it? So action is by the thumb on the stone, reaction is by the stone on the thumb. So like that you can observe the action and reaction pairs are equally acting on each other. Okay, you can give the example that for Newton's third law. Okay, now look at the next example. The force of attraction between an iron piece and magnet is also an example for action and reaction pair. So that is also a well-known example for you. Experimentally you can observe that when you keep a small iron piece near the magnet, so automatically the iron piece attracted towards the magnet. In this case also action by the magnet and reaction by the iron piece can be considered as the example for Newton's third law. Okay, and look at one more example. A rubber ball thrown on a wall rebounds back. Okay, it is also very well known. If you just throw a rubber ball towards the wall, what happens? It just bounces back with the same force, isn't it? So action is by the ball, force acting on the ball. Okay, reaction is by the wall on the ball, isn't it? Wall on the ball, that is the reaction. So action and reactions are working here. So that action and reaction pairs are considered according to Newton's law in this example also. Okay. So while you making the notes of this, you add some more examples that is known for you and then complete it. Okay. Okay. Now as you already discussed how to derive the Newton's first law from Newton's second law, right? So in the same manner, let us try to derive Newton's third law again from second law itself. Okay, so that means we can derive both Newton's first law and Newton's third law from Newton's second law. Okay, by considering the concept of Newton's second law, let us try to understand how to derive Newton's third law. So for that you consider the simple example of two masses m1 and m2 as two separate bodies. Okay, and when they are interacting on each other, so we'll come across the forces exerted by two bodies and as well as the momentum also. Okay, you can consider the momentum P1 and P2, right? So consider the two masses m1 and m2, okay, of the two bodies A and B, let us say, bodies A and B, so which interact mutually and their momenta, let us consider that momenta be P1 bar and P2 bar respectively. Okay, so you can see in the diagram m1, m2 are the two masses, the momentas are P1 bar and P2 bar, okay, acting in the opposite direction again. Now you can apply the Newton's second law for this kind of example, right? So what is the total momentums exerted by both the bodies here? You have to consider P1 plus P2, isn't it? Total momentum, nothing but P1 plus P2 due to the force but no external force acting on the situation. On both the bodies, they are just acting mutually on each other, but no external force acting on each other, right? So now, then from Newton's second law, we just consider the force of exerted on the two bodies are given by d by dt of P1 plus P2. So, to consider the total momentum. Okay, that is P1 plus P2. Okay, rate of change of total momentum is due to some force acting on each other. Okay, so that must be equal to 0. Why it should be equal to 0? Because since no external force applied on the pair, no external force applied on the pair means the total rate of change of momentum should be 0 because they are acting in opposite direction here, right? Okay, now split this equation. So as per the equation, dp1 by dt plus dp2 bar by dt is equal to 0. Okay, and then you can write dp1 bar by dt is equal to, you take this dp2 by dt on the other side with negative sign. So minus dp2 bar by dt now. Correct? Again apply the Newton's second law here. So because the rate of change of momentum for P1, you can consider it as the force F12 bar. Okay, dp2 bar by dt is the rate of change of momentum of the second body, that is due to force acting by the second body on the first body, that is F21 bar. Okay, so we can now just substitute dp1 by dt as F12 bar and dp2 by dt as F2 bar in the above equation, in this equation. So that you will get F12 bar is equal to minus, because there is a minus already, minus F21 bar. Okay, so the above equation reduces to the two equal forces acting in opposite direction due to the negative sign. So there is nothing but what? That is the Newton's third law. Okay, that is the Newton's third law it is. Okay, that means we are reducing the example for Newton's third law starting from Newton's second law here. That is why we call it as derivation of Newton's third law from Newton's second law. Okay. Now, at the end, let us try to understand this Newton's law basically assumed on the basis of the velocity and the force acting on a body, but with some conditions, right? So that is why we cannot say the Newton's law is always applicable for any kind of motions. Okay, then what are the limitations? Okay, limitations we can apply on Newton's laws, all laws, first, second and third law. Okay, so we can mention two limitations on the Newton's laws here. So first one is Newton's laws are valid. Okay, so valid of course, but with some restrictions. What is that restriction? That is called limitation, right? So Newton's laws are valid only in inertial frames. Okay, they do not hold in non-inertial frames. So as of now, you may not be having idea about inertial and non-inertial frames, but you will come across a theory of relativity according to Einstein. Okay, in the special theory of relativity, you will come across inertial and non-inertial frame. So you will consider the reference frames always, either inertial and non-inertial. If it is accelerated or rotatory frames, they are called non-inertial frames here. Okay, something you have to consider with some reference. So if that reference is itself is accelerated, then it is a non-inertial frames. Okay, so we are assuming all Newton's laws are applicable only in inertial frames, not in the non-inertial frames. Okay, where the body itself is accelerated or rotating. Okay, that means it is a limitation. Okay, next. So they are valid only when the velocity of the body is very small compared to the speed of light. So it is again one more restriction. So you cannot consider any body which is moving with very high speed. The velocity is almost equal to the velocity of light. No. Okay, because the situation changes. If you consider the velocity of the body nearly equal to the velocity of light, then the mass of the body itself will change, according to theory of relativity. That is why, so you have to consider the bodies, any bodies moving with the velocity always less than the velocity of light. Okay, so that is another restriction. So we call it as limitation again to the Newton's laws. Okay, so they are valid only when the velocity of the body is very small compared to the speed of the light. Okay, that means it is always non-relativistic. Okay, otherwise what happens, as I said, otherwise the mass of the body will not remain constant. Okay, you have to assume in this case always mass is assumed as constant. Okay, in fact the mass is not constant in the relativistic theory. Okay, relativistic theory, so mass changes when the velocity of the body is nearly equal to velocity of light. So that we can discuss later in the next chapters. Okay, when we come across the theory of relativity. Clear? Okay, so after this Newton's laws, discussion of Newton's laws, first, second and third laws. So we have discussed in general a force acting on a body, etc., isn't it? But what kind of forces are acting on the bodies and what are the different forces are available? Okay, so that part of discussion, I mean types of forces. Okay, so that concept we'll discuss in the next video. Okay, see you in the next video then.